say it like I normally do, it stumbles. Tetreault, most of us say. It's because we're not French, we don't know how to speak them. Tetreault. Ted was born on February the 9th of 1928. Made him 86 years old when he passed the last day of February in 2014. Actually, he died in November, not February. Just want to make sure y'all were listening. Ted had 7 children, 5 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren. So we have 5 generations for a while. Ted was the son of Catherine and Theo Tetreault, born in Providence, Rhode Island, and he was born for adventure, it seems. Most of his life, he spent having a good time and being adventurous at the same time. When Ted was 17, he used to eat a lot, like most teenagers, and he went to the local restaurant where he met this cute little waitress. And this cute little waitress worked the restaurant a lot. He ate a lot. Good pair. He and Gussie eloped when Ted was 17. He also enlisted in the service when he lied about his age. So he worked in the Air Force. In the Air Force, he served as a USO singer. Ted was a fantastic voice. Most of us don't know that because by the time he got here, he wasn't even speaking a lot. But he sang opera, classic, and his favorite jazz. But he loved music. Back in the 50s, Ted had a radio show of his own on station WHIM WHIM radio in Rhode Island. He went under the name of Ted Foster. It was a late-night radio show called Ted's Jazz Alley. And Ted worked his way through school while Gussie worked with him. She's working at the laundromat, and he's working at the radio station at night. They got through school, and he graduated from the Rhode Island School of Design. And after that, they started a family. Ted loved his jazz, had an awesome voice, loved to sing. Now, part of the fun things were that every one of their children but Carol, and because Carol was born on Christmas Day, she had to be Carol Noel. What else could there be? But all the rest of the children, their middle names are jazz artists. One of them's got Louie, one of them's got Count, one of them's got Billie Holiday. All of the children, the middle names are all jazz artists. He loved New Orleans, loved jazz. Ted's grandmother was the famed Rhode Island psychic named Madame Cecile. And he had a best friends of life with Mo Heyman, or Maurice Heyman. Ted's mother, Catherine, also called Kay, was a debutante whose family can be traced back to the Mayflower. She gave up her high life to marry Mo, which was today. The family shunned her, turned away. She worked long and hard, menial jobs to get Mo through college and put Theo through medical school, and he became a doctor. And she made her ideal life of a doctor's wife until he joined the service and ran off with a nurse. Does that sound familiar? Now, Theo married the nurse and he moved to Ohio and started a life that did not include Ted. Back in those days, when we were young, when the parents were divorced, the men left and you never heard from them again, usually. And their children were raised without a dad, quite often. Ted's interest included various vivacious, that's not the right word, read it right. Ted's interest included a voracious love of literature, movies, and photography. As soon as home movie recorders hit the sales, Ted was there to buy one, and he became engulfed in all of the modern media as it came forth. He was the photographer, he was the picture taker. Every time the kids went somewhere, I'm sure Carol saw him with the camera in front of his face. Gussie, Ted, and Carol moved here in April the 10th of 2006, and Gussie passed away on August the 27th of 12. Ted and Carol have stayed together in the house with great help from Peter and Arthur. Ted, I don't know of anyone that has struggled harder to stay alive for their children and keep their children happy, as Ted did trying to live for Carol and to take care of Carol. He dedicated his life to that. But when the Lord called him home, Gussie was waiting for him. She had her arms out for him. Arthur and Peters are still going to be our neighbor. They're going to move into the house after we take Carol out for a month or two and get the house all cleaned up to their desires and, new kitchen, new floors, and whatever they need. They're not going to have that soggy floor you have. And then they're going to move back in with Carol. I think it's the greatest idea in the world. I'm pleased to have her for a neighbor. Because number one, Carol has so many moms and dads here, you won't believe how many people take care of her. And she knows she can turn to any one of us at any time for anything. And with the park open like it is with the gate, she's free to wander. I mean, we've even had times when
They don't allow me out the gate.
No, we don't allow you out the gate. You can't go out the gate unless you're in somebody's car. But we had calls to rescue her off the island. She got left out on the island one time. And she got left down here by Gun Kay and Patricia. And all she has her cell phone with her, she just calls any one of us. No matter who we are, we drop what we're doing, get in the car and go salvage Carol. Not a problem, and with this many moms and dads, you're in deep trouble because you've got to behave.
Oh, God.
You're going to have to behave. So we have welcomed Arthur and Peter to our extended family, and we're just so glad to have you. We will have a little bit of, my music isn't here, it's driving me crazy. I know, we're going to do that in. So if anybody has anything they'd like to say today, we'll be more than happy. Joe's got the mic, we'll be happy to run it to you. Daniel's got a mic. If you'd like to say something to the family, we'd appreciate your speaking now. Anybody just raise your hand and they'll run the mic right to you. Up here on the front, Sharon. She's behind you. We got to cover you.
For a couple of years now, it has been my joy and privilege, honor, to be Ted's transportation. We went to doctor's appointments. We went to Walmart every week. And I wish that I could have known him when he could still speak. That even though he couldn't talk to me, we had the most wonderful conversations. We talked about music. We talked about books and authors. He had a wonderful sense of humor. And I just enjoyed his company so much. He allowed me to read several short stories that he had written, and I discovered just how articulate he had been. And he also let me view a video that he had made when the camcorders first came out about a hurricane that struck Rhode Island when he was just a young boy. And he gathered news footage of it and newspaper articles and all of these things, and he put them together and he presented it on the video. And I asked him, had you written out a script for that? He said, no, I just went with it. And I thought, what a joy this man must have been to be around. It's difficult when we lose our speech to articulate the way we normally would. We tend to shortcut things because it takes less time to write it that way. But I was very aware of what a great speaker. I was not aware of the singing. I know he loved music. We talked about music all the time. And he had an eidetic memory. He was phenomenal. You name any movie, and he can tell you everybody that was in it. He never forgot a thing. And he used to tell me about his grandmother, the psychic. And we shared some stories. It was absolutely lovely. I was always very, very happy to be in his company because he was an interesting guy.
I think one of the problems with this part of the show is that we wind up meeting someone we never took time to meet before. Not many of us knew about Ted's past. Not many of us know about each other's past. It's kind of nice that we got to know each other now while they're still alive. Who else would like to speak this evening, morning, afternoon, whatever else you want? Today. David?
Well, we moved together about the same time, 2006. They came in March and we came in November. And we got to see each other occasionally, but I really got to know them through this young lady right here, because every time we would meet up with each other, she'd tell me about Mom, and she'd tell me about Dad. So I knew what was going on all the time. And it was always kind of fun to listen to because there was always something interesting happening in their family and in their home. But on behalf of the HOA, and they've been members of the HOA ever since they've been here, we send our condolences because we know now that he's in a better place and we're going to be able to keep this lovely lady.
Fantastic. Anyone else?